Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to have some really good news and then some bad news as well. This isn't going to be a particularly exciting video, it's mostly going to be updates for the channel, and so with all that being said, let's just get right into it. Let's first start with the good news, and it pertains to the Ram TRX. We finally have a bunch of the aftermarket goodies coming in for the truck. So the first thing is the Stealth Fighter bumper from Addictive Desert Designs. It has like the giant light bar there in the center, and then you've got the fog lights on either side. It's going to increase the front end approach angle and everything, and so yeah, it's just going to be a really good thing for the TRX. It's going to make it look a lot cooler, but also it's going to be more practical off-road, so I'm really excited about that coming in. That should be pretty soon. And then the other thing is with the lights on the TRX. So you guys know that I added these two lights. They've helped out a bunch at night in terms of visibility and everything. I ordered out two more though for a little bit more visibility. They're at the dealership. I just have to take the truck in to get the lights put on. I've just been super lazy, haven't done it, but those will be coming pretty soon. And then the rear bumper from Addictive Desert Design should also be in. I mean, that'll be alongside the front one. It has two lights inside the bumper. So the front one has a giant light bar, right? And then the two fog lights. This one will just have the two lights in the back, and it'll just make it look a little bit more aggressive on the rear end. And then also RIP kickstep, because we've got to remove this to put the bumpers on. So this kickstep is pretty much on its last legs, and socks and sandals. Anyways, the next thing is the exhaust with the truck. So I've got some really exciting news with this. I am getting an exhaust for the truck from AWE. It's probably gonna be about 5 to 10 weeks out in terms of the build time and all that. But yeah, apparently the exhaust adds, I might be wrong the exact figures, but I think it's like 5 horsepower and then 15 pound-feet of torque. So pretty much negligible on the power perspective, but it'll make it a lot louder, it'll make it sound better. And I mean, it's not like the TRX sounds bad because, well, I've got the key fob here, which, by the way, this key fob is kind of like coming up here on the side a little bit. Same thing happened with my Rebel key. They need to like make these a little bit more secure. But anyways, I mean, it sounds really good. It definitely sounds good, but it could be louder and it could sound better. And so, yeah, we're getting an exhaust for the TRX. Really excited. And I think that this is going to be the coolest truck build that I've ever done, because we're going to have front and rear bumpers. We're going to have the exhaust. And obviously we have some stuff from the factory, right? It already came with the tire carrier from the factory, which is really cool. And then the whole rack thing with the lights. But I mean, compared to what I did with the Raptor, we're going crazy. And this makes me think I want to do something else. So I don't think I've seen anyone do anything yet. And don't get me wrong, I love these Bilsteins, but if someone does long travel suspension for the TRX, does like a whole setup and everything, I'm considering getting it for the truck because I think it would be cool. And I just imagine, like, think of the jump videos I could do if I had like crazier suspension on this truck. So yeah, that's kind of also an idea. But yeah, that's like the first update. Is there's a lot of cool stuff happening with the TRX. Now let's get into the bad news, and it pertains to the Focus RS. First off, if you are the state of Utah and you're watching this video, you need to get me my license plates because, well, it's way past the 5th, and yeah, I can't really drive the car until you guys get me my license plates, so it's kind of annoying. But at least we've got the official plates for the TRX. We've had those for a while. I do need to do a custom plate for the TRX. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below what I should do. I've never done a custom plate before, but definitely considering it. But back to the Focus, and obviously the topic of today's video, which is me buying the wrong car. And I don't know why I opened it up, but I think popping in will kind of help explain. Clutch in. Push button. Ooh. I'm sure most of you are here for this part of the video in terms of the car that I bought that I shouldn't have bought, and it's kind of the Focus RS, but kind of not. So there's a lot of things that I love about this car. I love the steering on the car when you're in the sport mode or the track mode. I love the sound of the car, right? The pops it makes out of the exhaust. Let me see if I can get it to, well, I'll do it in a second. I gotta let the car warm up a little bit. Love the pops out of the exhaust. The shifter, I mean, it's pretty good, not the best, but it's pretty good in terms of the feel, all that kind of stuff. I absolutely love the suspension on this car. I mean, there's like no body roll. You can have tons of fun, go around corners super fast, and it's just like there's a lot of positive things about it, but there's some negative things about it, and they aren't horrible, but there's a car that has those things fixed, and I was looking at buying it, and it was the one that I wanted to buy, but then I didn't because of logical reasons, which I'll get into in today's video. But yeah, a little bit of regret. And also, I think we can get pops now. Wait. Nope. 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 It's not gonna pop. I mean, sometimes it does it. Maybe it's because we're almost out of gas and I need to, I mean, we've got like 33 miles of range. Let me see if I can get it to do it now. It doesn't want to pop for us. So the car that I'm referring to is the Honda Civic Type R. You guys know that I drove pretty much every single rally car before I purchased this Focus RS. And at the end of the day, it was really between the Civic Type R and the Focus RS. The things I didn't like about the other cars, for example, with the Golf R, I felt like it was too luxury. It just didn't feel like a real performance car. It felt like it was decently quick, but everything else about it was like, it was just super boring. And it felt way too front wheel drive like. And then on the STI side of things, my friend John has an STI. He loves it, and that car is great. I love the engine, I love the sound, but I hate the suspension setup on that car. It just has way too much body roll, and the weird thing is it's kind of stiff. Like on the road, it's stiff, and so you're like, oh, it's gonna be great around corners. It's not. Like when John drove this car back to back with his STI, he was like, wow, I wish my STI handled and cornered like the Focus RS. And so that's what pushed me away from the STI. Now on the Focus RS side of things and on the Civic Type R side of things, it was kind of like back and forth. I like the looks of the Civic Type R more than the Focus RS, but then with the Focus RS, I like the fact that they don't make them anymore, and so it's going to have better resale. Again, I like the sound of the exhaust a little bit more compared to the Civic Type R, and then also the fact that it pops, which I don't know why it won't do it. It usually does it, and then as soon as I film a video and need it to pop, it doesn't want to pop. I love the pops out of the exhaust with the Focus RS. Again, I love the handling and also the power and the speed. Like, it's the perfect amount. It's like right on the edge where it's almost too fast, but like it's the perfect amount. But on the Civic Type R, I like the steering feel on it better, the shifter feel on it way better, and I also actually really like the seats in that car. The seats in this are really good. These are kind of like a good second place. The Civic Type R, the seats are just so much better. They hold you in place a little bit better, and then you sit a little bit lower in the car, so you kind of have a more like sports car type feel in that car. And every time I get in this car, I keep thinking about those things that this car doesn't have, and it kind of makes me a little bit sad. And so I almost feel like I should have bought a Civic Type R, but then I didn't. Now, there were a few reasons why I didn't end up buying the Civic Type R. Again, first off, they're going to make a new Civic Type R for the 2022 model year, so I was kind of worried about resale value with the car. And then the other reason is just because of pricing. Like, every single Honda dealer wants 5 to 10 grand over sticker for Civic Type Rs, and it just doesn't make sense when the used ones are selling around sticker. It's like, okay, I'm going to go pay 5 to 10 grand over sticker for this car, and then if I ever want to sell it myself, I'm going to lose all of that money that I just paid up in markup on the car. And so I just, you know, being me, couldn't make logical sense of it, and so it pushed me away from the car. But then I obviously ended up getting this, and now I'm kind of like, well, obviously I wouldn't have paid over MSRP. I'm like, should I have just waited and tried to find a Civic Type R at MSRP? And now I'm kind of starting to feel that way. And so yeah, it's just it's one of those things where that was my gut instinct, was that was the car that I would like a little bit more, and I obviously went against that. And it's not like the Focus RS is a bad car, but I should have just like listened to my gut. I figured it'd be easier to kind of like hit these points home by taking this out and driving it, which it's still a blast to drive, but there's just a couple things that this car doesn't really do that are more important to me that might not be important to other people. So again, with the shifter feel, the Civic Type R, just like every single time you shift into a gear, it just feels absolutely perfect. If you've driven that car, you guys know what I'm talking about. Honda just makes some of the best manual transmissions in the car industry. And then on top of that, the steering feel, you actually can feel what's happening with the front end. And then I love the fact that it's got the Alcantara wrap steering wheel that's a little bit smaller in size. It just feels absolutely perfect. And on top of that, it does have the auto rev match, which isn't necessary. It's fun to blip the throttle yourself. But the problem with these hot hatches is they're all built off of commuter cars, which have horrible pedal layouts. Like the brake pedal and gas pedal are just not close enough, and with how they like actually sit, it's just horrible in terms of doing heel toe. And so that's definitely a nice feature to have, so you can kind of be lazy, obviously, and do a little bit more from a performance driving standpoint. But aside from that, it's also just with the overall like look of the car, and then actually with how it actually drives with the suspension and everything. So with the Civic Type R, it's smoother from a suspension standpoint compared to the Focus RS, but I feel like it corners just as good, if not better. It is lighter weight as well. Just all these things that I like, and I should have just waited. But it's not like I hate this car. I still love driving this car, and it's not like I'm just gonna go and jump and get rid of it. But again, it's kind of what this video is about, is just my slight regret. And then there's one more thing that annoys me about the Focus RS, and we'll get into that in just a second. Well, the last thing that annoys me about the Focus RS is the torque steer. Hopefully you guys saw the steering wheel kind of go over the place. This is all-wheel drive, and it torque steers like crazy, especially from a dig. Now, again, the Civic Type R is front-wheel drive, and the thing is, there's gonna be a little bit of torque steer with that car, but the surprising thing is there's less torque steer with the Civic Type R than there is with the Focus RS, and especially as soon as you get up and moving, there's no torque steer with the Civic Type R. Like, it doesn't feel front-wheel drive whatsoever. And this, however, it torque steers even at higher speeds. Like, let me see if I can get it to do some fun stuff right here. So, second gear, you still feel it through the, it just wants to pull every single time, and I don't know, I don't like that. Now that's pretty much gonna sum things up for today's video. I'm actually kind of excited to see the comments on today's video, because I know I'm gonna get roasted a bunch, which is always funny for me. But yeah, like I said, nothing crazy is gonna be changing anytime soon, unless, like I said, someone reaches out and has a stupid deal on a Civic Type R, or someone wants to buy the Focus and pays the right amount of money for it. Doubt that'll happen, but anyways, if you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe, comment down below what you think, and I'll see all of you in the next video.